Hello! Today I am making pumpkin muffins. Now the recipe as I'm making it can be halved with no problem, and it can be halved after that if you need it. But I'm making a very large batch because I'm going to be sharing these. So I've got two 15-ounce cans of pure pumpkin. If you want to do your own pumpkin, just make sure you have at least 30 ounces of pumpkin, 1 cup of vegetable oil, 6 eggs. We have 3 1/3 cups of sugar. I know that sounds like a lot, but we're going to add 4.5 cups of flour to this, so it'll be fine. We also need baking powder. We're going to have 3 teaspoons of baking powder, 1.5 teaspoons of baking soda, 1.5 teaspoons of salt, 1.5 teaspoons of cinnamon, ground cinnamon. We're also going to add nutmeg. My nutmeg is whole. We're going to do 1.5 teaspoons of nutmeg. So I'm going to grind that up so that I can get it to be the same consistency as the others. Half a teaspoon of ginger. Mine happens to be a roasted ground ginger, which I really like the flavor that it brings to the party. We're going to use 1 teaspoon of cloves, and as I mentioned before, 4.5 cups of flour. This comes together very easily, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, it's time to put everything together. So we're going to start with the pumpkin. Remember, we've got 2 15-ounce cans. So we'll get that into our bowl. I like using a little spatula here so that I'm not struggling with a spoon. And you can use the spatula just to go around the sides like that. And you'll get everything out, or the majority of it, without worrying about waste. So get all that out. Our second one. I like to buy the pumpkin on sale. It'll last for quite a long time, so that I beat the holiday rush if it's holiday season. In the fall, you can easily find pumpkin at the store, but it's available year-round. So this is one of those recipes you can make any time of the year. I happen to make it for Thanksgiving time and Christmas time. It's a special treat. All right, so we got all of that out. We're going to put in our oil. We'll use our spatula just to scrape out all that oil, get all of that in here. There we go. And we're going to get our sugar in here. I know it's a lot of sugar, but it's worth it. And now we're going to just crack our eggs in here. If you're not comfortable cracking your eggs right into your bowl, just do it into another bowl. Just make sure you don't get any shells in there. One. That's 6 eggs. This is a very moist bread. I make it into muffins. So you can make these as loaf pans, into a loaf pan. I happen to like the individuality that I get from making it into muffins. They come in their own little container. Everybody can have a piece without having to worry about cutting into the loaf, and the loaf stays moist. That's not like these things last. They disappear very quickly. Oops. Let's make sure we don't get any shell in there. Last one. Okay. Now that we've got all of our ingredients in here, we're just going to whisk this up. And then we're going to add our spices and our flour. So have a look. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead, whisk this up. You can use a hand mixer. I find that there's no point in getting that much equipment dirty for this. This comes together very easily. And it has a beautiful color, as you can see. So we're just mixing this until it's smooth. It doesn't take too much effort. You just got to make sure your eggs are incorporated, sugar's incorporated. See? No time at all. So now we're going to take, this is all of our spices, our baking powder, and our baking soda. So just sprinkle this on top. I do it in 2 batches. My oven is at 350 and it's already at temperature. You want to make sure you've done that because now we've activated the baking powder and the baking soda. And I do it in batches so that it doesn't clump up. All right, and last batch. So in thirds, if you will. All right, you can see this is really an easy recipe to put together. Now I'm moving my cutting board simply because it gets, from a height standpoint, I just want it to be a little easier because this is the part that gives your arm a little bit of a workout. So 4.5 cups of flour, we're going to incorporate that. I'm going to put my 1/2 cup in first just so I don't forget it because I've done that. And again, we're just going to incorporate. We're not going to overmix. That's why I'm using a whisk and not a mechanical tool. It's okay if you have a few lumps of flour, but you want to get most of it in there. And it will go in there. So now I'm going to get the other 4 cups. Right, so there's 1, and I happen to do, for each one, I will add it in, mix it in. And that way I avoid the lumps and the difficulty of trying to put 4 cups of flour in all at once. All right, but you see I don't go too far, I just get it incorporated. That's 2. This is 3. And you'll see it becomes more batter-like as we add the flour. This is where you start using more of your bicep. All right, last one. There you go. So now that we've got all of our flour in, I'm going to mix this until it's incorporated. And then I'm going to prepare my muffin pan with muffin cups. So no need for spraying with vegetable oil or lining anything with butter and flour for easy release. I use the muffin cups and it really just cuts down on a lot of work. Okay, so let's get started in putting this into our muffin cups. Okay, we're going to take our large baking cups and line our pan. As I said, this makes it easy for serving these, just having them out. No need for a knife to be around. You just go ahead and serve them up on a platter. So I'm using my scoop. It's about a scoop per, maybe a little bit more. And so it's a little overflowy, but it's just one scoop per muffin pan, per muffin cup, I should say. These are going to poof up a bit, so they'll look really pretty. And then we're going to bake these for about 35 minutes, or until a toothpick comes out clear. So I check them at about 30 minutes. And usually they're ready right around 35 minutes. Okay, so we'll get all of these here. And we're going to go right into the oven with each tray as it's ready. If you don't have a scoop, just make sure you don't overfill with whatever you're doing. But the scoop allows you to get even amounts into each cup. All right, so into the oven we go. All right, we're going to check our muffins and see if their toothpick comes out clean. They're ready. You don't want to overbake these. They'll get dry, even though it's a very moist batter that we use. So we're going to let these cool for just a moment until we can handle them. And then see, because we use the muffin cup, I can quickly take them out and I can let them start to cool. So this is one of the things I do, is I pull them out just right here on the side until I get my cooling rack, if I haven't already set it up, and they start to cool sooner and they're ready to go. So we're going to repeat this with the rest of the batter until it's all done. You can sprinkle some sugar on them if you want. I find that they have a lot of sugar already, so I don't actually do that. I keep them plain. You might want to ice them with a cream cheese icing, but again, it's more sugar, and I think they stand alone just fine. I serve these as is, as a side bread item, if you will, with the meal. They also make great brunch accompaniments, and I serve it with some softened butter, so you can spread it on there. So you can rewarm them, very low oven, so they don't overcook again. You don't want them to dry out, just so they're slightly warm if you save them from the day before. Enjoy, because that's delicious.